Tulsi Gabbard is joining us now. So you heard the news. We walked through with Tristan Levitt on how this kind of came to their attention through whistleblowers. But Tulsi, I want to go directly to you. You know that you were on, you're kind of thinking back and you're like, okay, I know I did a Fox News interview on July 23rd, and the next time I took a flight was a couple days later, and I had that Quad S designation, which randomly sometimes is put on any of our tickets. And if it's random once in a while, that's no big deal. That was supposed to be how it worked. But then you noticed it kept happening and happening and happening. And so you realize this is something bigger. And then we've had whistleblowers come out saying that you've been put on, the quiet skies list. And let me just read that out for people, what the purpose of that list is for: to mitigate the threat to commercial aviation posed by unknown or partially known terrorists. So, I mean, Tulsi, just your reaction when you found out that you were on that list. You are someone who has served the country both in Congress as a presidential candidate and currently in our armed forces.
The closest word that I could think of that can begin to describe what I felt and what I feel in learning that actually, according to these whistleblowers, that I am on this quiet skies list, that my own government, my president, my commander-in-chief is targeting me as a potential domestic terrorist. The closest word that comes to mind is a complete sense of betrayal. And it's betrayal because I, like so many Americans, enlisted because of the Islamist terrorist attacks on 9/11. Enlisted to serve in our country's military, to ensure the safety, security, and freedom of the American people, to go after and defeat and destroy those Islamist terrorists who continue to pose the greatest short and long-term threat to us, to our security, and to our freedom. And so now, after serving over 21 years and continuing to serve in our nation's military, my own government has labeled and is targeting me directly now as a domestic terrorist, as they are many others. I'm not alone in this. Of course, this list is not being made public, but we can look to what the Biden-Harris administration has done in multiple cases of how they have there have been leaked conversations, leaked files, leaked documents, and even statements they've made in public saying that this threat of domestic terrorism and extremism is so great, and often very likely it is those in the military or military veterans who are these potential threats here at home. It is more than a slap in the face. It's more than a punch in the gut. It is a complete betrayal coming from our own government that they are using our taxpayer dollars, our resources. They're using people like the air marshals as weapons and pawns to target their political opponents. And that's really what this is all about. As a person, I feel, not only for myself, but for my brothers and sisters in uniform, for those who have literally put their lives on the line to go after and defeat those terrorists who attacked us on 9/11, those who continue to pose a threat to us today, and all of that, to have our own government come and point and set their sights on us and set their targets on us, saying that, no, actually, we are the domestic terrorists. Why? Of course, there's no explanation given, which is why we are taking legal recourse, why I'm so grateful for these whistleblowers and having the courage to stand up and present the evidence and proof, because, these secret lists, there are many of them. Quiet Skies is one of them. There are others that have occurred ever since 9/11 with the Patriot Act, weaponizing these institutions against Americans. All of these secret lists, there's no recourse. There's no way to know truly if you're on the list, how to get off the list, why you're on the list, why my own government is seeing me as a domestic terrorist. I can't tell you why, but I can make some assumptions based on the record of this administration that this is yet another tool they are using against their political opponents. Yep. Obviously, I've been very outspoken about the dangers of the Biden-Harris administration to our democracy and to our freedom and to our national security. And this is what happens as a result.
Yeah, using your First Amendment rights to speak about your government is certainly not a reason to be labeled as a potential terrorist threat to our country. And of course, I think what happened here, Tulsi, sometimes is actually, it's not a good thing for you, but I think for the country, because of your profile, this could be a good thing for all Americans because, you're already a colleague of ours at ACLJ. We do this kind of work. We're going to be representing you. We've already got the FOIA going there. We're going to take other legal action. Lawsuits are coming. But then you're also, by you taking a stand and your public stand, along with those whistleblowers that we've worked with before and defended their rights and protections, we're able to expose this program to the American people and your willingness to come and speak out about it. But I also want you to tell people, your husband ended up on this as well, and he is not someone who is outspoken like you or is out in the political world every day.
No, and again, this just points to the insanity of what this government is doing. My husband is a cinematographer. He makes films and commercials and music videos. He supports me in what I do, and I'm so grateful for it. But he is not at all involved in any kind of political discourse or debate, either in person or online. And so for him to be receiving the very same treatment that I have been receiving with this continual quad S is what they called it. You showed the image of the boarding pass, the SSSS mark. He was just on a flight a couple of days ago and still has that showing up on his boarding pass. And so for people who don't know what that means, it means that you cannot check in online. You have to get your board, whether you have check-in luggage or not, you've got to get your boarding pass from the ticketing agent. They will hand you the boarding pass. If you have TSA pre-check, that goes out the window. You go through the regular TSA line. Once you get there, you got to wait for a supervisor to come and show up. Can take a little while, as we've experienced. They have to shut down an entire lane, an entire screening lane through the TSA checkpoint just to screen you individually because it takes so long. They will check all of your electronics. They will empty every single article, your toothbrush, your underwear, your clothing, your books, your, battery charger, every single article from your carry-on luggage, and screen and swipe every single piece of it. So it takes 30 to 45 minutes. And then once they give you the all clear, then you go and you board your flight. And sometimes you may get additional screening at the gate before you're allowed to walk onto the plane. So this is not only happening to me, it has happened to me. It's continuing to happen to my husband, and it happens to a lot of other people. I heard from a TSA employee through one of these experiences, and I'm not going to out them at all, but they could not make sense of the fact that how someone in the military could be getting this screening, and also how they had seen how Trump supporters who previously were not in that Quad S designation now were continuously marked with Quad S on their boarding pass. So through our legal action, I'm grateful to ACLJ and you and Jay and your whole team that's come together to fight for our First Amendment rights in this country so that we can shut down these constitutional actions and take it all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to.
Absolutely. And Tulsi, we're proud to be colleagues of yours and to fight with you at ACLJ. And again, First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, this involves so much, but it's exposing a program that has not yet led to any arrest or any kind of prevention of any terror attacks in the country since it started. Tulsi, I know there's going to be a lot more to talk to you about as this goes on. Appreciate you joining us today to talk about it. Support the work of the ACLJ, folks. This is a multi-pronged legal effort with whistleblowers representing Tulsi, her husband, with FOIAs, with lawsuits. Go to aclj.org. Donate today. Let's protect our rights.